This is the Jae Choe Show, brought to you by Karate Beyond. Discipline, focus, confidence. KarateBeyond.com. Let's begin.
All right. We're recording Jae Choe Show episode 116. I'm here with Rachael, Alfonso, author of What Cars Say. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm part of the Exotic Car Hacks community with PJ and Alyssa. And Alyssa reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to have Rachael on the show? As she wrote this book. And I was aware of the book. And I thought to myself when it first came out, I was like, goodness gracious, what a great idea for a book. And you did it. So can you walk us through what it is that you have?
Yeah, of course. So I wrote Cars Say. All in all, the book has been out now for about 6 months, but the writing process went all the way back to about May of 2019. So we're approaching the 2-year mark here of getting everything said and done. But basically what Cars Say is a better version of that book that parents give their kids. It's like, oh, this is what the cow says. This is what the pig says. This is what the Ferrari says, what the Jeep says, what the Honda says. And more than just that, it's also incredibly educational. Those books have little snippets. It's like the cow says moo, and then it tells you to press the button. This book I wrote so that way kids can actually learn about the cars that are on each page. And it's done in a Dr. Seuss type manner because I decided that I wanted to be like my author idol and make it all rhyme. So all the pages rhyme, all the words rhyme. So it's very easy for younger kids to get involved with reading. It's also very easy for parents to read to their very young toddlers and babies. So I wanted it to really be for everybody. It doesn't matter of age, gender, background. Really, I didn't want anybody to feel excluded from this because it was meant to be for everyone and anyone that loves cars, or just anyone in general that wants to get their kids into the wonderful world of automotive industry.
Right. And it's funny because cars are less and less sounding like cars of old, like the roar of a V8, right? Or the sound of a Ferrari, right? They're so distinct. And now that we have, electric cars, EVs, and they're silent, right? I mean, I just ordered up a Tesla Model X, and I know that thing is just quiet. It makes no noise whatsoever. And so and I think people nowadays are starting to lose the emotions that's behind driving a car, right? The sound of an engine, a real engine, is just slowly evaporating from us.
I think there's something actually, now that you mentioned that, I was watching TV the other night and this commercial comes on and it was for Volkswagen, and Volkswagen's showing off their new models here and there. And then they're throwing in their new electric crossover SUV thing. And then all of a sudden they start saying oh, this is what's so great about a Volkswagen. This is what's great about a Volkswagen. And the woman driving the electric car gets her turn and she turns, and then you see there's a baby in the back seat, and she's like, he'll never have to experience a world without electric cars. And I get that, environmentally and the way of the future, then yes, that's what we want to move towards. We want climate change. We want, to better the world, be more green. But unfortunately, she's right. That child will always have, sorry. I knew that was going to happen.
For those of you that are listening to this on audio, Rachael is actually in a garage right now. What was that?
Sorry, it's the garage door opening. You might hear a car, so the joys of working around exotic cars, it's never quiet.
Okay, all right.
But all in all, that's the truth. And we've had, speaking of what I do, we've had a few electric cars here. We've had a couple Model X's. We had an i8 even. And the fact that the i8 makes the sound come through the speakers.
Yeah, that's a bit of a cheat. I don't know if I like that very much.
I don't know if I like it. I was like, just make it silent. Just make it dead silent. Don't even try to add to it. But you hear it come through the AC vents and the speakers, and you're like, what is this sound? I don't, because it doesn't even sound like a car. My sounds sound better than that.
Okay, all right. So, Rachael, how did you? What were you doing before you wrote the book, or what's your I don't know, what's your career like right now?
So I've actually had the pleasure of working with Mr. Pejman Gadimi as his, what's a great word for what I do? We'll call it director of operations for all of his companies for about 5 years now. And he originally found me while I was working at an exotic car dealership in Boca Raton, Florida, XL Auto. And he was a client of theirs. We got to talking, and then I ended up working for him. And I had a lot of interest in, the watches because he does Watch Trading Academy, and then also with the entrepreneurship, Secret Entourage. But my real passion, of course, is with cars. So I was always very interested in that side of, the programs. I wanted to learn everything I possibly could. And then seeing his own collection is so incredibly motivating and overwhelming that you just want to be around that world. So that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years, and I still continue to do it to this day because I enjoy it that much.
Okay.
And Exotic Car Hacks has even, it's helped me publish the books that they're featured on the course.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, and those of you that are listening to this on a podcast format, audio version, the book has buttons on the very bottom of it with the illustration of the various cars, and you would press on that button and it would create the exhaust notes of the said vehicle, whether it's a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Porsche, etc. Very cool. So you've had this book now and it's self-published, right?
Yes.
Through ECH. I mean, are you guys putting it on Amazon, or how's it being published?
So Bezos has enough of my money at the moment. That man has me stripped for Rachael as an individual. My late night Amazon shopping knows no bounds. So I'm actually not on Amazon with this book. We aren't currently in any stores or anything like that. We're doing all in-house marketing and fulfillment. So I know this is a podcast, but I'll kind of show you. This is my stock in my inventory.
Good grief.
Here, and these are the orders I'm shipping out to the post office today when we get off this call. So everything is done up here in this little loft area of the garage.
I gotta make it down there to Delray. I really do.
I mean, why not? It's 85 degrees and absolutely stunningly sunny, as you can see from the front of me and the back of me. So
all right, fantastic. And do you have any more books that you're thinking about creating?
I definitely want to do a series with this one. So I want What Cars Say completely up and off the ground. Like, it's like Toy Story, right? Like Toy Story, you want it as big as possible. And then Toy Story 2 is really great and cool. But there's just like that one, the beginning. So I want to see this one come to its full crescendo of awesomeness. And then I want to bring in its brother and sister, which I already have the ideas for. So I want to bring them in probably in the next 1 to 2 years. We'll give it a fair amount of time frame. So I want to focus on the main child at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So Rachael, tell us about your background. Besides, well, I mean, you met PJ because you were working at XL. Were you in sales at the time, or?
I was doing. I got hired as a receptionist, and then that quickly dissipated into me becoming like a customer concierge. But then also I did a lot of F&I and title work. So that was interesting, and knowledge that you kind of keep with you forever. Like just the other day, somebody was talking about, getting a transfer title on something. And here I am barging in. I'm like, well, you need to do this, 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 and this at the DMV. And they're like, you're much nicer than the people at the DMV. I'm like, I know. So let me help you.
Okay. All right. Are you originally from Florida, or where are you from?
I am. I was born and raised here. I was born actually about 30 minutes north of Delray in Palm Beach Gardens. And then I moved down to Delray when I got the job at Excel when I was about 2021.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you got the books coming out in the hopper, the sequels to What Cars Say. Rachael, what do you want? What do you want out of yourself in this life?
That's a great question. Never did I ever think I was going to be a children's book author. But the moment that it happened and the moment that I touched the book for the very first time, I knew that this is what I was supposed to do with my life. I always joked when I was younger that I wanted to be a teacher. And then growing up, obviously your visions get skewed and you decide you want to do a billion other things. But here I am at 25 years old with something that I can introduce to teachers, to schools, to hospitals, to families, to children, to parents, doesn't matter, in an educational format. And so I really want to see this to absolute fruition. I want to see my book in every school. I also want to see myself in schools. I would love to actually create a program, and thanks to COVID, I think it's going to be so much more doable, where I can get on, like, something like an ECH course. Like, you log in, you go through the video modules, and I want to do it for kids ages 8 to 18. And I want to teach them some of the fundamental things that you need to know as a functioning human in society, that unfortunately school just doesn't teach us. Things like credit
what?
and
Okay,
loan,
okay, got it. Okay.
even how to change a tire, like change your oil, like check your oil, like simple little things that I know so many of even my friends at the age of 22, 23, 24 didn't know. And it's almost harmful these days to not know these types of things, to be 17 and applying to colleges and taking out loans when you don't even know what it really means. And then you graduate, and then all of a sudden you have a 550 credit score and you're trying to buy a car, and you're like, why is my credit shot? Because no one explained to you when you took out those student loans, it would hit your credit. So I want to explain that a little bit better. And then even for younger kids, I want to explain to them things like maybe etiquette, or, how to put yourself out there socially, so that way you aren't so shy or scared, or you feel like high school is taking over. Social skills for kids that are homeschooled, because one of the biggest things now that I see with COVID is that children are going to lose the ability to socially interact because they're only able to do so through a screen. So there's just a bunch of stuff that I have planned out that I really want to do. And I think what Carsey was such a great intro step, because I now have something to back my education on. I'm like, listen, I wrote this book for kids. There's a lot I have to say. This is really cool. Play with it while I tell you all of my wonderful ideas.
Okay. Why didn't you go to like one of those well-known publishing houses like Random House, or like, I don't know, you name it, to create your book?
Because they would want to change it. So my biggest thing is, I had the exact vision for this book while I was in Italy for Alan Dang's wedding, who is also a member of Exotic Car Hacks, who's been a longtime friend of mine and a huge help with this book. And I had it while I was there. I knew exactly what I wanted from it. And funny enough, I've watched PJ for 5 years get people coming up to him with these ideas for businesses, and he shoots them down. He's like, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. So when I presented him this idea, he was like, that's $1 million idea, run with it. And I was like, okay, but what about this? What about that? And same thing. I was like, what if someone doesn't want to publish me? He was like, no, don't get published. Do it yourself. He's like, your idea as is perfect. He's like, they're going to want to change what cars you feature. They're going to want to change your rhymes. They're going to want to change the graphics. They're going to want to change all this stuff. He's like, and it's perfect as it is. Don't ask for their help. Demand their participation when the book is done. And I like that. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to ask for permission, in a sense.
Got it. Okay, you wanted full creative control over the end product. Okay.
Exactly. And luckily I had PJ, who's also an author, who's self-published, kind of helped me with the reins of understanding what I needed to do and everything like that, getting it cleared, because also if I do want my book in stores, there has to be certain labels and things on that. So he's great with getting all that done.
Well, I mean, I know a few entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a few of which who have done the same thing that you have, self-published, and wildly successful. I mean, PJ, of course, and then a friend of mine who is actually my neighbor here in town, and he does marketing for lawyers and law firms, and he wrote a book about marketing for law offices, and it's killing it. It blows my mind that you don't need to have a big company backing you up, and they're going to take a giant cut from you out of your profits, I guess.
Publishing agreements are insane. I started looking at some as I had smaller companies coming up to me once the book released on Facebook ads, and it became more noticeable. And the agreements that they were showing me were like, they get 95%, I get 5%. I'm like, do you know how much blood, sweat, and tears I put into my book? And then at the same time, they get to control where it goes, who sees it, who it's marketed towards, everything. And I was like, that's my vision. That's my book. That's my baby. Like, nobody's going to tell me what to do with my child. So it's my book, and it will remain my book. And also the fact that I had such incredible help from my entire team of 6, 7, 8, 9 people. I didn't want to sell out their hard work to a
Right.
company that doesn't even know their name. I appreciate them. I value them.
How did you source your artist
So
for
he is
illustrations?
actually, believe it or not, he's in the ECH group. His name is
Okay.
also Jae, and he's done some amazing work. And he's also in the WTA group, and he's done like watch graphics. And I'm like, those are really cool. And the whole, design of the book was I wanted it to be for kids, yes, but I didn't want it to be like the movie Cars. I didn't want it to be with
Right.
eyes and a smile and everything like that, because people would just reverberate it back to the movie of Cars, which is fine. I love that movie, but it's different than that. And so I wanted it to have a blend of cartoonish and also something that you would see on somebody's wall, like a poster. So that's where he kind of helped me blend it through. And I must have driven that man crazy, because I would tweak the smallest things. Like if I didn't want a mirror open, I wanted it closed on one of the cars, I'd be like, close it. Open the doors on the Aventador, don't leave them closed. Open the wing on the gull wing of the SLS, like don't leave it shut. So he was amazing, so helpful, so attentive, and he saw the vision as well. So that was so important. Everyone saw.
You know who's gonna buy these books is people that are car fanatics and that have kids, right?
Oh yeah.
Or like it's like the ultimate gift, like they will buy it to gift out to like family friends, or their nieces and nephews, or I don't know, housewarming presents.
That's who I want to buy it. The funny thing is I get a lot on like I moderate my own comments on my ads and everything like that. And a lot of it's like, hey, just ordered 2 of your books, one for my son and one for me. And I'm like, it's for kids of all ages,
Yeah.
no judgment here.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for sharing with us this awesome book.
Yeah, of course.
And
And
I'm
you
going to
might
put
hear
in the
a
show
car
notes.
saying goodbye.
What's that?
You might hear a car saying goodbye as well. So something's coming in the garage.
All right. Well, I'm going to put in the show notes how to get your book, and when you come out with another one, let me know, and I'll be happy to have you guys come back on.
Yeah, of course. That would be my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Jae Choe Show. Brought to you by Karate Beyond. Discipline, focus, confidence. KarateBeyond.com.